Aries. This is not really about a home memory. It is about what you give away when you rush to shut the door. The moon sextile Mars makes the overlooked detail impossible to treat on autopilot. A small gesture decides how much room you leave to habit versus choice. The convenient answer looks harmless now, which is exactly why it can cost more once you have already said yes. The danger is subtle. You confuse nostalgia with duty, and the convenient answer charges you later. For Aries, the real risk is mistaking speed for command. Today, that domestic memory is best handled by waiting one beat longer. Ask yourself whether you are doing this to choose better or just to stop feeling the tension. Separate memory from fact. Then answer only to the present. Remove the rushed part before you decide. Taurus. Attraction only counts today if it keeps your scale intact instead of forcing you to chase. The useful move is precise. A game that stops being light should no longer take over the whole scene. Moon opposite true node exposes the unspoken desire-pleasure field and makes it speak more sharply. Someone may light you up, but the sky asks you not to hand over the steering wheel. A clean connection does not need you to betray your own boundary in order to look soft. For Taurus, the day warns against using caution as a parking place for the real issue. The desire becomes readable in how a game that stops being light respects or consumes your line. If the spark makes you smaller, the bill shows up as a dent in your dignity. Choose the option that protects both the heart and the boundary. Listen again when intensity starts tempting you more than clarity. Gemini. The love signal today is not sweet. It is precise and maybe uncomfortable. In an empty room, there are only three things left: a domestic closeness, your boundary, and whatever keeps knocking. Moon opposite mean node means the home root emotional base responds immediately to anything too vague. This closeness could truly warm you, or it could drop you back into an old script if you enter without a line around it. A domestic closeness is not enough just because it makes you feel alive. It has to leave you clearer, not dependent on the other person's reply. The real stake is not calling something love when it only makes you half present. The seductive part of the scene can make you forget the more adult question. Name what you feel with care, but do not give more presence than the other person can hold. Save it for the moment when the heart wants to run and dignity asks for measure. Cancer. When attention that asks for action keeps returning, the message is clear. Enough fury, give it friction. The knot is not huge, but it is exact. This tension decides how clear you stay in the scene. With Mars under pressure, the identity-body presence axis asks for a brief, precise move, not a war of position. This is a short, unsentimental moment. One answer, one decision, one cut, and the block loses its aura. As long as you watch it, the block looks bigger. Once you choose the first step, it loses power. The practical stake is turning tension into direction before it turns into pure drain. For Cancer, the right kind of care today also includes the boundary that keeps you whole. If the point still waits, tomorrow will cost more force. Cut the surplus and protect the first concrete step. Listen again when you are about to open yet another explanation instead of making the useful gesture. Leo. The fixed part of the day wants one thing: a clean cut. This is not about theory. A choice left stuck touches the way you protect your time, desire, boundary, or dignity. With the sun on the identity-body presence axis, what looked like background steps forward and asks for an adult answer. The day does not hand you the whole problem. It gives you the first part you can actually move. For Leo, the win comes from staying whole without turning everything into a test of presence. The day shifts when a gesture enters the scene and forces a stuck choice to become measurable. The stake is getting out of the mental loop. If you move nothing, the block stays respectable. The real loss is training yourself again to endure what should have been moved. Pick the point that blocks everything else and reduce it today with one visible act. Save this before you put off the gesture you already know is needed. Virgo, being right is not enough. Do not let reason turn into a blow. Today you have two doors. Explain yourself and lower the tension fast, or slow down and let silence take shape. Mercury activates rest, closure, and inner preparation, so the choice cannot stay automatic. This is a notification you might ignore, an explanation you do not owe, a door you are better off leaving closed. One door explains everything, the other lets silence work. Virgo, if you optimize discomfort, you may make it elegant instead of stopping it. If the explanation only exists to calm guilt, it is not honesty, it is noise. The stronger move is not explaining yourself when silence is already cleaning things up. Is the silence protecting you, or are you breaking it only because of anxiety? Close one door, one notification, one task, then breathe before you answer. Move. Choose the quiet that actually helps. Save this before you break a pause that was working for you. Libra. Power comes from saying the price before the discomfort does. No drama is needed. A practical boundary to state becomes clear in the first real shift in your tone. With Mars active, the career role public direction axis no longer tolerates vague theory. It wants direction before reaction. This is practical, but it measures something bigger: your ability to give value a shape. If nobody names the cost, a practical boundary to state can turn into the usual advantage of whoever insists more confidently than you do. For Libra, useful peace does not leave that boundary in the fog. The stake is knowing whether you truly want to be generous or simply avoid the uncomfortable moment of clarity. You may leave the scene without conflict and return tomorrow with less room, less time, and less position. Move. If the boundary is real, write it or say it now, before it is crossed. Listen again when a small request starts feeling too familiar. Scorpio. Do not accept a price just because the conversation is awkward. The opportunity is not huge, but it is real. Answer a negotiation that needs clear terms while it is still alive. Venus activates the career role public direction axis, so desire, value, and boundary all need a cleaner shape. The hidden cost of a fast yes is that it looks like courtesy while shifting the weight onto your side. If nobody names the cost, a negotiation that needs clear terms can become the usual advantage of whoever pushes better than you do. For Scorpio, depth becomes useful only when it stops speaking from behind control. The stake is knowing whether you truly want to be generous or just want to avoid the uncomfortable moment of clarity. The real loss is looking accommodating while quietly giving away measure you never named. Move. Write the number, the time, and the limit. Confirm only what stays clean. Keep this close when a small number starts taking up too much space. Sagittarius. Today, money, time, and dignity end up in the same sentence. This boundary is not a shut door. It is what stops a margin someone is using from spreading everywhere. Mars moves the day into the intimacy, shared resources, transformation field, where a clean gesture can free things, and an impulsive one can cost. This is the kind of moment when embarrassment wants the wheel, and the sky asks for clarity instead. Value becomes real when a margin someone is using stops being atmosphere and becomes declared measure. The risk is accepting the wrong measure today and spending tomorrow defending a boundary that was already worn down. For Sagittarius, the danger is wanting to stay open to everything and leaving the things that matter without form. If you keep the practical measure vague, someone else will use the gap for their own advantage. Move. Ask for the number, the measure, or the detail before you offer emotional availability as an advance. Send this to the person who needs to understand that cheap peace turns into debt. Capricorn. Recovery today is not escape. It is maintenance of clarity. The final frame depends on this, turning a physical margin to defend into a real gesture before it becomes regret. Mars moves through the relationships agreements confrontation field. Useful if it cuts the knot. Costly if it only releases pressure. This is a real pause, not a pause full of guilt and explanations. The tired part is not sabotaging you. It is trying to keep the day from using you past your limit. For Capricorn, real endurance also includes the moment you say where your margin ends. The true loss today would be giving up good clarity to save urgencies that are not all yours. If you keep sacrificing that tired part, clarity pays before outcome does. Move. Protect 1 hour, one threshold, or one slow response. Today, recovery has to be organized, not hoped for. Save this before you call strength what is really just consumption. Aquarius. The turning point does not arrive when everything is clear. It arrives when you stop circling. First image? A backlog to unlock enters the scene without asking permission, and the rest of the day has to respond. Mars pushes into the work method health area, so courage has to be measured rather than exploded. The right movement does not solve everything, but it opens what habit kept shut. This is the point where the day does not give you the whole problem. It gives you the first piece you can actually move. For Aquarius, the risk is staying brilliant above the surface and absent in the gesture that would change the tone. Today, it matters to step out of the position that explains itself well, but changes nothing. If the backlog waits, tomorrow will ask for more force. Move, choose the point that blocks everything else, and reduce it today with one visible act. Keep this close, where fear tries to pass as method. Pisces, do not miss an opportunity that will not come back in the same way. It looks small, but it can move the day. This is the scene where you can feel something shift, but only if you stop waiting for an aesthetic guarantee. Hold the scene tightly. In one concrete point, an opportunity that will not return the same way becomes less ambiguous. Moon trine Chiron. In the field of words, exchanges, and the near environment, the sky asks for less interpretation and more form. The good moment does not need convincing. It needs you awake enough to use the real opening. For Pisces, the risk is sensing the point clearly and still leaving it shapeless out of softness. The stake is not waking up tomorrow with the feeling that you saw the right opening and arrived too late. If the useful signal stays only intuition, the opening remains, but your presence goes missing. Move. Write one clear route, then protect the first concrete step. Listen again when the good moment seems too small to deserve courage.